So we were at the neurons. The neurons form columns. The columns are functional approximators that talk to each other. Basically, the neurons form small teams that because they discover that they're better at anticipating reward and how to get fed if they form these teams and organizational units.
Yes.
And this is a process that we are not able to replicate yet. So the algorithms that our machines are implementing right now are much more, you could say primitive, but maybe not primitive, thought top-down or bottom-up. And it's very hard to think bottom-up with many moving parts. It's much easier for us to think top-down in terms of control, not of emergent control. So our brain is made from these building blocks, from cortical columns. And these columns organize into maps, into these brain areas. We have about 50 of those, and they're linked together and talk to each other. And they basically, they take these patterns. The patterns are visual, auditory, tactile, proprioceptive, emotional, and our imaginations and so on, organize this into percepts, and you combine this into simulations. So you take the visual, auditory, and part of the tactile stuff, combine this into your model of the environment. You take the tactile and proprioceptive stuff, and this is somatosensory. You take the proprioceptive, emotional stuff, this is your motivational experiences that you have, like hunger and thirst and so on, and pain. And then we have emotion, imaginations, that gives rise to a mental world. And a part of that inner, or this mental, motivational, somatosensory world gets combined into a model of the self, and another part gets combined into a model of the world around you, right?
So we're going patterns to perceptions to then these combine into our worldview.
Yes, but they're not being perceived by anything because they're not related to something. They will be related to the self, and the self starts out with being somatic, social, and personal. Right? So you relate to others, and this is an important part to yourself. You relate to your own body, that's an important part to yourself. And you relate to yourself as a person. You have a biography and expectations and desires. And all this is what you think you are, right? And then you have your mental stage. In your simulations, is this world states that you cannot actually, that are not factual, that are memories, that are imaginations, that are constructions that you do in your mind, things that you imagine. And we also need to generalize over the world states into global maps. And we unify our knowledge about ourselves and the world into knowledge. And then we have an attentional system, a conductor of our cortical orchestra. Yeah. And this gives you an attentional self that tells you, this is what I'm currently focused on, right?
Yes.
And this attentional self is very important for selecting percepts from the environment and directing your attention on the things at hand. And it helps you also to control your simulations. Control of the attention is really from the self. It's I who pays attention because I need this, because I want this, because I don't want that, right? This is what directs it. And in order to remember what you did in the past, you maintain a protocol. And this protocol of what you paid attention to, that's basically your stream of consciousness. And this enables your biographical self. This lets you remember, I was the person that did that. And I did this a moment ago, I did this last year, and so on. This works by a biographical memory.
Yes.
And so this is basically the rough architecture of something that's a self and a person emerge in a mind that makes models.